Welcome to the Payoff Pitch Prospect Report, and I am Paul Valley. Down at the farm for the Baltimore Orioles, you have the Delmarva Shorebirds, and they are sending 8 players to the All-Star game in that particular league. Looking at pitchers Grayson Rodriguez, Drew Rom, Ofelky Peralta, and Zach Matson, who will join catcher Daniel Fajardo, shortstop Adam Hall, outfielder Duran Turchin, and designated hitter Seamus Curran on the Northern Division's roster. Grayson Rodriguez, the Orioles' first-round pick out of the draft in 2018, 11th overall. He's 6-1 this year with a 2.63 ERA, and he has 66 strikeouts compared to just 12 walks and only 2 home runs allowed in 48 innings pitched. He did get lit up in his last start, going 5 innings, allowing 7 runs on 8 hits. No home runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. First bump in the road of the young professional career for Grayson Rodriguez. We'll see how he bounces back from that, but still pitching very well for the Shorebirds right now. Then you're looking at Drew Rom, who was also a 2018 draft pick, although he's a high school pick out of Kentucky, Highlands High School, in the 4th round. He's 4-0 with a 1.49 ERA, 55 strikeouts to 12 walks, and only 1 home run allowed in 42 1/3 innings pitched. Really providing a nice 1-2 combination down there in Delmarva's rotation with Grayson Rodriguez. Ofelky Peralta, finally having success. He struggled mightily the last 2 years at Frederick, so he went back down to Delmarva this year. The 22-year-old is 4-0 with a 1.99 ERA. Really not sure what you're going to get out of Ofelky. It's nice to see him pitching well, but he's 22 years old in low A ball, and he's in his 6th year in the organization. So it might be what you see is what you get from him. I don't know if he'll factor into the Orioles' big league plans down the road, but right now it's nice to see him having success and making an all-star team, again with that 4-0 record and a 1.99 ERA. Then you have Zach Matson, who's having a really nice season out of the bullpen. He pitched really well between Delmarva and Aberdeen last year. This year, 4-0 with a 1.57 ERA out of the Shorebirds bullpen. And then we're going to go to the position players. Adam Hall having a really great season playing second base for the Shorebirds. 3.32 average with a 4.13 on-base percentage. He's already got 15 stolen bases in just 53 games. He's really providing a nice up-the-middle double play combination with Caden Grenier, who, if you remember, was the 37th overall pick in the draft last year out of Oregon State for the Orioles. So they're having a nice season between the two of them, and Hall making that all-star team. I believe I said Duran Turchin. I think his name is actually Doran Turchin. 39 RBIs and a 3.65 on-base percentage for the outfielder there. Seamus Curran. This is a guy who's been in the organization since 2015. A real low batting average of 217, but probably made that all-star team because of his 10 home runs. So showing a lot of power, but not much else for the Shorebirds. And then Daniel Fajardo, batting 272 as a catcher in 34 games for the Shorebirds. Only a 295 on-base percentage. I wouldn't exactly label him a prospect. 24 years old, been in the system since 2012, so he's more organizational depth than anything else. But he's one of 8 All-Stars for the Shorebirds, so nice to see him having a decent season and getting recognized for it. We're going to move right on up to Ryan Mountcastle for the Norfolk Tides. If you recall, in his first game of action after hurting his wrist and finger the previous week and missing about a week's worth of games, he came in on Saturday night and had himself a nice little game for the Tides, who had a comeback victory. He actually ended up hitting a walk-off Oppo Taco home run for the Tides that evening. And then the next day, he followed it up with a 3-home-run game. He had 4 home runs and 5 at-bats between Saturday and Sunday before finishing Sunday 3 for 5 on the day. He's hitting .328 right now, which is something that you really like to see, with 11 home runs, 41 RBIs. The big problem here, what's going to keep him down at the minor league level, is he only has 7 walks compared to 47 strikeouts this year. The 47 strikeouts you're not too worried about, but that lack of plate discipline, you have a power hitter in the making with a high batting average. You want to see him get on base. Only the 7 walks, plus the defense. He might be in Baltimore in September, but I wouldn't expect to see him until then unless he absolutely forces their hand. And then also his Norfolk Tides teammate Keegan Akin, 3-2 with a 4.02 ERA, 65 strikeouts and 53 2/3 innings pitched. Had a little bit of a rocky start on Saturday. He got to no decision in that walk-off win for the Tides. He went 5 innings, gave up 4 runs. And this is a guy who the Orioles, they really want him to take that next step. They want him to be dominant for, 5, 6, 7, 8 starts in a row. But it seems he'll have 2 or 3 really good to great starts, and then he'll put up a dud. That 4.02 ERA isn't great, but it's not terrible. he's on the same pitching line as David Hess, and David Hess has been struggling mightily up in Baltimore. So Keegan Akin needs to put together a few more starts. I think he could be up on the team in the next month. Until then, hopefully he can start getting a little bit more dominant, and we'll see him sooner rather than later. Another left-handed pitcher, this guy down at Double-A Bowie, we talked about him at length in the past, Zac Lowther, 4-4 with a 1.66 ERA, 14-10 with a 1.95 in 45 career minor league games. I think that when Akin gets called up to the major league roster, Lowther could take his place at Norfolk unless he happens to leapfrog Akin, which I don't think is very likely. What you have to remember with Akin's struggles and Zac Lowther's successes is there's a different ball used between Bowie and Norfolk. Norfolk's in the National League. They use a major league ball, which is going to lead to, inflated ERAs and more runs scored in that particular league. So I'm interested to see how Lowther, once he moves up to Norfolk, how he does using that major league ball, and we'll see if those numbers start to inflate a bit for him. Then we're going to go to Blaine Knight, third-round pick out of Arkansas, pitched in the College World Series last year. The Orioles took him in the third round in the 2018 draft. He was absolutely dominant at Delmarva, pitched to a .68 ERA before they finally moved him up to Frederick. Frederick, his ERA is 4.09. He's 3-1 with a 2.22 between Delmarva and Frederick. Only allowed 2 home runs this year. And that's a guy, he's holding his own against tougher competition. I think you're only going to see him improve. It's nice to see him pitching pretty solidly. That ERA is up over 4 because he gave up 4 runs in 6 innings in his last start. But he really hasn't embarrassed himself up there. He's pitched fairly well. And I think, like I said, we're only going to see him improve. So those are the main prospects that we're going to talk about today. Nice to see a lot of them playing well. Nice to see 8 All-Stars for the Shorebirds. Keegan Akin, again, we need him to take that step forward if you expect to see him in Baltimore in the next month, because can't keep trotting David Hess out there in his major league leading 19 home runs allowed. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully these young guys can take that next step and keep marching forward, because they're going to be expected to be main cogs in this rebuild in the next 2 to 3 years. Until next week, that's going to do it for the Payoff Pitch Prospect Report. Once again, I'm Paul Valley, and thanks for tuning in.